Hey everybody, my name is David Falcon, and today I'm going to be discussing the article Reforming Harvard, Cotton Mather on Education at Cambridge. Before I get into the article and what it was really about, I just want to give some background on who Cotton Mather really was. He was a prolific author. He was a pastor at Boston's Second Church, and just a Puritan icon of New England. He was the son of Increase Mather, who really built Harvard up to the school that it is. That was just prolific in academics and religion, morality. Um, at this time of the transition of the head of the university, there was like a cultural shift in Boston and the university in general, um, leaning more towards a mild liberalism, which is also now known as latitudinarianism. And he really wanted to get it back to its roots and what it was really there for. Um, he writes a letter to William Dennison in which he talks about important points. And these important points highlight Mather's increasing frustration with the university and the conflicting relationships as he wanted to stray from its proper path and choose others less qualified than him to preside over it. So he watched the university get off track, and it frustrated him that he kept getting skipped over when they were looking for a new head, and he felt as if the other people that they were looking at were less qualified than him. And one of these people was Samuel Willard. Um, Mathers writes directions for a son intended for his own son Samuel to give advice on how to best take advantage of his undergrad years. And I'll talk about this a little later, but these directions for his son it was for his son, but it was directed in a way for people to look at him as an influence to the culture of the school. Increase Mathers was frequently absent, which resulted in frustration towards his family by the other college heads. And this made the other heads of the college, Harvard, look for another leader. Willard would go on to ascend in power, never becoming too popular with the other people in charge, and he befriended some radicals, as this article stated. He ascended into power while Cotton was distracted in completing and publishing his Magnalia Christi Americana. As I go on here, Willard, as I said, he befriended some radicals such as Thomas Battle. But Willard he's held in high regard with the people of Boston. And according to Emory Elliott, the people had viewed him as a model minister and a symbol of victory over the past age. So although the heads or the leaders of Harvard might not have had the best view of him, the people of Boston did. Mather's important points can be dated sometime around Willard's death in 1707. And Willard left directions that are arranged into 12 heads. Mather's instructions can be seen as kind of a parody to these directions because he made his into 12 different sections, they're parallel to one another. These instructions were very negative in tone towards the president of Vice, as they called Willard, and as an assessment of his tenure as Vice, which Mather wasn't the biggest fan of. He just was not a fan of him. These important points were in one element in Mather's campaign to intercede in the choice of a new head of Harvard and to revivify the school's cultural Puritanism. Academics were lacking at this time at Harvard as different heads came to lead, and people began looking at Harvard as nothing more than a place where rich people sent their kids, and the kids would just get there and learn how to walk handsomely and enter a room gently. But people would go as far as to call these Harvard students blockheads, and this was particularly seen under Leverett's leadership, as he showed a lot of lack of attention towards religion. Leverett was extremely sympathetic with the school of latitudinarianism, Anglicanism, which was very liberal. And this is seen by Charles Little in his writing. So along with Leverett was William Brattle. And Brattle gave Cartesianism a distinctive role in the curriculum. And he remained at the university until the end of his life. And that is seen by Rick Kennedy as he writes about Brattle. So Mathers gets his hopes up again once Leverett passes away, but gets passed over not once, not twice, but 3 times. Harvard just was not looking at him to lead, as they were going towards a more liberal worldview. And Mather would not have led that kind of, he wouldn't have been that kind of leader to lead the college in that direction. He would have wanted to go back to its original purpose of what Increase wanted as a university. So as a result of him getting passed over again, he turns to an alternate method of influence by writing the Treatise of Advice. So he writes 3 different publications, which is the, not the directions. He wrote the Instructions, the Treatise of Advice, and if I'm not mistaken, what was it? Directions for a Son. So throughout all these trials and tribulations of getting passed over and not really having the influence that he might have wanted as the head of Harvard, he still wanted to be a voice, and he still wanted to have an influence over the direction the college was going. So he didn't let those disappointments stop him from trying to make a difference, which is seen through all of his writings. Thank you guys for listening if you got this far, and I hope you have a great week.